Ever wondered if your advertising dollar is really working for you? If your ad would have been here, you and more than 4 million people would be listening to it right now. Contact ads at xzoneradiotv.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerreonian intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X Zone Broadcast Network and the Talkstar Radio Network. My email address is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv at hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Stephen Myers. He is an author, lecturer, and independent researcher. Stephen has studied the Great Pyramid for over 20 years to understand how this ancient wonder of the world was built and why. His research included traveling to Egypt to conduct extensive on-site research at the Giza Plateau. Stephen Myers has written numerous magazine articles and given many lectures on the subject of the Great Pyramid, compiling his research into the book called Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. Stephen has provided a comprehensive and detailed explanation of how the Great Pyramid was built. Now, he contends that advanced technologies were used to build the Great Pyramid. Stephen also founded a non-profit foundation dedicated in understanding how and why the Great Pyramid was built. The mission of this foundation is to redevelop these ancient but advanced technologies to help our modern but troubled world. The foundation's website is at www.thepump.org. Joining me now from southwestern Oregon is Stephen Myers. And Stephen, welcome back to the X Zone. It's been 6 years, 6 long years. How have you been?
I've been great. Thank you for the opportunity to be back on your show again.
Stephen, over the last 6 years, has there been a lot of research done into the Great Pyramid, and have you made any startling discoveries?
Well, in this last period of time since I've been on your show before, we've established a nonprofit foundation here in the United States, located in Oregon, and it's dedicated to understanding how the Great Pyramid was built and why. And that foundation has conducted quite a bit of research, which has been compiled and put into my book, Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid.
Now, Stephen, how did a gentleman from southwestern Oregon get interested in the Great Pyramid of Egypt?
Well, I've always had a highly technical background. I got that from my father. He was one of those fellows that could fix anything, could just about do anything, and that a little bit of that rubbed off onto me. My degree is related to fluid mechanics, and I have here in the United States, the Federal Communications First-Class Radio License. And even for fun, some of my hobbies are quite technical, amateur radio operator, and a few other things. But anyway, I really enjoy technology and also period authentic technology from different time periods, ancient, like Middle Ages and that type of thing. So I have a love of history and a love of technology. And if a person has both of those interests, pretty soon their focus will focus towards the Great Pyramid, essentially the first skyscraper ever built by man. So that's how I got interested in the Great Pyramid.
As a researcher into the Great Pyramid, what was it like actually being there and being able to study the Great Pyramid firsthand?
Oh my!
Oh my!
I recommend it. I recommend it for anybody if they get a chance to go to Egypt. We sent a research team there a few years ago to do some on-site research. It's awe-inspiring. It transcends whatever you're going to read in a book. To stand next to a stone that's so massive, it's incomprehensible, really, to figure out how it was moved by conventional means, and just to be there and to see something that humans, just like us, were able to accomplish. It's awe-inspiring.
Stephen, please stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Stephen Myers is my special guest this hour. Exonation, he is the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. His website is www.thepump.org. That's www.thepump.org. Stephen Myers and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as the X-Zone continues, live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away, X-Zone Nation. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yes, it's about the water.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone TV show, coming soon to screens of all sizes. On the X-Zone TV show, we'll investigate UFOs, ghosts, alien abductions, demonic possession, psychic phenomenon, angels, lake monsters, Bigfoot, unsolved mysteries, and all subject matter from within the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, and much, much more. The X Zone TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, www.xzonetv.com, is a Relmar McConnell media company and Airplay Media production. Fartlets, fartlings, pongies, and honkers. They have so many names, makes you go bonkers. Rear tempest, butt bubbles, bottom burps, all aside. Why does it smell like a little rat died? Hail the fart, whenever, wherever, whoever. Its existence actually enriches our lives because it gives us those unforgettable moments that we can all recall again and again that are always good for yet another laugh. A new expose on farting. Get your copy of The Endearing Fart by Eileen Dover at www.theendearingfart.com.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true. Standing here beside you, want so much to give you this love in my heart that I'm feeling for you. Let 'em say we're crazy, I don't care about that. Put your hand in my hand, baby, don't ever look back. Let the world around us just fall apart. Baby, we can make it if we're heart to heart.
And welcome back. Stephen Myers is my special guest this hour. His website is www.thepump.org. That's THEPUMP.org. He's the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. And Stephen, I guess one of the most common questions you get asked is, how was the Great Pyramid built?
Okay, the normal idea is that Egyptologists say that there was a big ramp, but our theory is quite a bit different. We feel that what was used was water and water locks, like the Erie Canal or the Panama Canal has water locks, and stones on barges from the Nile were brought up a series of water locks right to the building site. But this is the key part. We feel that the Great Pyramid was built level by level. So imagine the first level of the Great Pyramid, the casing stones, the outside stones are set in place, and those stones are very precise and cemented together so they're watertight. So that makes like a big pond if it's filled with water. And also we feel, based on a lot of research, that there was a water lock from that would allow barges to go from the Nile all the way up into that pond. So stones on barges were able to be easily moved with water locks all the way into this pond impounded by the first level of casing stones. Then the interior stones were set in place from the barges, and then the first level of the Great Pyramid was completed. And that process was continued by adding another water lock up to the second level, putting in the second level of casing stones around the outside, filling that up to be a pond, and then filling up the interior with interior stones. So it was done very systematically with essentially water locks are a 21st century technology of choice. In the Panama Canal, they're building new water locks that are bigger. It's a modern technology that we feel was used in ancient times.
Is there any evidence to substantiate your theory?
Oh, certainly. The casing stones that are still there, there's only a few left, about 1% of the casing stones.
Mm-hmm.
Those stones are still cemented together and are watertight. And, after 4,000 years. So that's evidence that, let me put it this way, that's evidence. It's there. Those stones are still watertight.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say, oh, that's to keep the pesky Egyptian rain outside. It's like a watertight roof over a building.
Right.
But that's an interpretation of the evidence. Our interpretation of the direct physical evidence on the Giza Plateau is that was built to keep water in. So that's one form of evidence. Another piece of evidence is Petrie, who was the grandfather of Egyptology or whatever, Flanders Petrie. He felt that the Great Pyramid was built level by level, and that he also felt, there's references to this in my book, that each level, the casing stones were put in first. So he has a whole bunch of evidences for that. The current thought in Egyptology is that it was built similar to how we see it now, and then a sheathing of these precision-cut casing stones were put on the outside. But based on Petrie's work, in his evidence, it is supports our sequence of construction that we feel happened when the Great Pyramid was built. So that's just some of the evidences.
Now, where did this unusual theory come from?
Okay, most ideas, like the idea of the wheel and other things, you don't know where they came from. But this idea actually came from one man. He was a independent researcher, a savant, actually, just a visionary, a brilliant man, in that his name was Edward Kunkel. He lived in Ohio, did much of his research about the Great Pyramid, and he felt that the Great Pyramid was built as infrastructure for the civilization that built it. And he felt that the purpose of the Great Pyramid was that it was a water pump, believe it or not. And that water pump supplied the water for these series of ponds as the construction progressed up towards the sky, and supplied the water for the water locks, for the stones on barges. And that's where this theory came from. Our foundation is named after his book. His book was called Pharaoh's Pump, and we're the Pharaoh's Pump Foundation to honor him and his research. His book was last published, and he published it privately with a very small distribution, kind of rare book. Was in the early 1980s, and he died in the mid-1980s. So there's been a lot of research built on the foundation of his research from that time until now. If anyone gets a chance to read that book, I would certainly recommend it, Edward Kunkel's book.
Stephen,
that's where this theory came from.
Why is there still so much mystery and controversy over the true building of the pyramid and its actual use?
Okay, that's a very easy question. The reason is, and this is very important, the reason is that Egyptologists, and virtually everybody else, but mainly Egyptologists, have developed a theory. Egyptology is a science that has developed a theory, but they have never demonstrated any of their theory. It's amazing. They have never made a casing stone. Egyptology has been like a science, if you want to call them a science, for 200 years. They've never made a casing stone. Isn't that interesting? They say that working people did it using hand tools, but it's never been demonstrated. They say that there was a ramp. They've never moved a casing stone, which is about 16 tons, They've never moved a casing stone up a ramp. The largest stones are about 70 tons. Egyptologists have never moved a 70-ton stone or payload like a locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
They've never moved one 1 inch. And so they've offered all of these ideas, but essentially hypothesis, but without any demonstration to substantiate it. And that's why there's whirling controversy about how the Great Pyramid was built, why it was built. I would submit to your audience that if that the way they say those things were done cannot be done, physically cannot be done. In fact, our foundation has a $50,000 scholarship, a research scholarship that we're offering to help somebody demonstrate the making of 5 casing stones and then moving those stones. The details are at our website. But if you can make those stones in the same way that Egyptologists say, any book in any library will tell you how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, you get $50,000. Egyptologists say 1 stone every 2 minutes removed. That's 10 minutes work if you have the whole complement of workers.
All right, so if I understand you
so
correctly...
that's the point.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, Stephen,
Yes.
The pyramid was built using a series of removable locks, raising barges up to the different levels, and that the main purpose of the pyramid wasn't a tomb for the kings or the pharaohs; it was a water pump.
Yes.
How?
What
was
our contention?
All right, now, how did the pump work?
Okay. The way the pump worked is not obviously evident in modern times, or else everyone would understand it.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that that the civilization that built the technology to make the Great Pyramid and to operate it used technology that was different than ours, and they used the same laws of physics, but that they understood things that we don't understand. Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Now,
okay.
were these builders from this planet or another planet?
Okay, that's who, and that's beyond the focus of our research. Our concern is mainly how it was built
mm-hmm.
and why. Okay, and the reason why we don't get into who is because everyone starts talking about Imhotep or certain pharaohs and all of that, and gets into religious applications and all that. We're more interested in how the stones were moved from point A to B, and then the purpose of the structure. The structure its interior is very complex and doesn't seem to be a tomb. That's why Egyptologists have come up with an idea that there was several changes of plans in mid-construction, because it doesn't fit their theory anyway. It doesn't look like a tomb. But we feel that the complexity of the interior with a whole number of chambers is the reason for that is to be a water pump. It's more of a machine than a place to house a dead body.
All right, stand by, Stephen. You and I have to take a commercial break with the news. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Exonation, Stephen Myers is our special guest. www.thepump.org. He's the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. Stephen and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be back after the news.
Ever wondered if your advertising dollar is really working for you? If your ad would have been here, you and more than 4 million people would be listening to it right now. Contact ads at xzoneradiotv.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. Stephen Myers is our special guest. He's the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. That's Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. And his website is www.thepump.org. Stephen, have you heard from any of the well-known Egyptologists or hobbyists about your theory? And if so, what do they say about it?
There's actually quite a following for this direction of research. I'm even surprised myself. It's a phenomenon, really. There's a lot of interest in what we're doing. People that are interested in environmental issues, because we feel that this pump is environmentally friendly, the way it operates. There are people who want to have an alternative to oil that are very interested in our research. It's an energy system, if you will, because pumped water you can use both for irrigation but also to generate electricity. So people that are interested in alternative energy systems that are new and emerging, this isn't new. It's will be a redevelopment of a very ancient technology. And there's also people that are interested in our nation's self-sufficiency, that we don't need foreign oil. And also there's people that want the development of this type of technology because they feel that oil, our primary source of energy, is a destabilizing, factor in the world. So if we can develop these alternatives, but yes, there's a lot of interest in it. What our foundation is trying to do is a very big goal. We're trying to understand the genius that is behind the construction of the Great Pyramid, and understand technologies that aren't familiar to even scientists of today. All sciences are just scratching the surface, and we think that the ancient mankind understood things that we didn't, and we're trying to understand that technology, redevelop it, and make it available for our modern but very troubled world.
Tell me, Stephen, tell me about the people who actually built the pyramid and this great pump. Where did they get the knowledge?
Oh, gee. Well, they were probably I don't know who built the Great Pyramid, but they were probably a civilization that had among them some geniuses, like the development of alternating current, a rather sophisticated concept, was developed in one afternoon by Nikola Tesla. Mm-hmm. So probably I would assume that there were some geniuses that developed some very sophisticated techniques to use the water and to pump the water. I know in the Middle East there's examples of some rather high technologies, like the Baghdad battery. You've probably had shows that have mentioned that. There are some artifacts that were uncovered in the Middle East that were electroplated, believe it or not. That's rather sophisticated. But this water pumping technology is to me, it seems like a level, a quantum leap even from those things in sophistication and technology. And we've done a lot of experimentation. We've had some numerous newspaper articles here in the area about what we're doing. We've had some components, sub-assemblies, and that type of thing that we're working on. That's actually our most important aspect, our most important thing that we're doing in our mission statement of our foundation. But it's also the most cost-intensive, if you will, to build a robust prototype. So that's what we're doing.
What about the other pyramids around the world and in Egypt? Were these also built using the same water technique as you've described in the Great Pyramid?
Okay, that's a good question. Now, all the pyramids, like in the Valley of the Nile, they're all built with different levels of precision, different sizes. Mm-hmm. The angles of the sides are different. Some are pretty steep, some aren't. Some were built from mud brick. Some were built from limestone, and so it's hard to say. I would say that none of the other pyramids were water pumps. Some have suggested that the Great Pyramid is the most precise, but also the oldest, and that the other pyramids are facsimiles that are used by a later civilization that use them for their own purposes. Similar to a concept called a cargo cult, where a high civilization has like devices and things, and the natives or whatever kind of worship those things, or they make idols and whatever based on that stuff. It's an interesting subject, cargo cults. You can look it up on the internet. But that's one explanation for all the pyramids. Certainly some were used for religious purposes or for something else, but that doesn't mean that they were all. Let's say all but the Great Pyramid. The pyramids could have been tombs. But if that's true, then the Egyptologists would be 99% correct about the pyramids in general, but 100% wrong about the Great Pyramids in specifically it.
How about the fact that the pyramid is so geographically correct, it is also astronomically correct? Was this just fluke?
All researchers have the same direct physical evidence, okay? And they all come up with ideas and theories from that, and those ideas are interpretations of evidence. There's certainly interpretations about a lot of the features of the Great Pyramids. One example is that the shafts point up to stars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm sure you've had shows about that.
Yes, we have.
Star alignments of the shafts.
Yep.
Well, anything that points up has to point to a star. There's no way that it can't. So and also with the precession of the equinoxes,
mm-hmm.
there is, you can have a shaft over the centuries point to several different stars. So you can develop, believe it or not, theories about all of this massive amount of data about the Great Pyramid, as well as massive amounts of interpretation. But what our foundation is trying to do is to start with a clean slate and say, big, heavy objects were moved from point A to point B. How was that done? And we're trying to understand just how it was done, and also why it was done. And we're going to try not to get into a bunch of religious interpretations, with scripture or any of that, or star charts, or Bible prophecy, or all of the mutually exclusive ideas. But we're going to try to understand how it was built, understand that technology, redevelop it into modern applications,
mm-hmm.
and hopefully be able to help the world through doing this. That's our goal.
Why did the Egyptians require a pump of that size? Like, that must have put out a lot of water.
Yes. Actually, the largest structure in North America, United States and Canada, the largest structure ever built,
mm-hmm.
was the Grand Coulee Dam. I've been there also.
Yes.
It's about 11 times the size of the Great Pyramid, and it's awesome. In fact, the slope of the face of the Grand Coulee Dam reminds me of what the face of the Great Pyramid would look like, smooth. But anyway, it is a water pump. It makes a lot of electricity,
mm-hmm.
the Grand Coulee Dam, but it also pumps water up to I think 1 million acres. I don't know how many hectares that would be, but it irrigates like 1 million acres in perpetuity in that area of that's in Washington State. And it turns the desert into a garden. In fact, there's several dams behind the Grand Coulee Dam that back water up clear into Canada. And Canada stores that water and then trades that for electricity. So it's a monumental project, the Grand Coulee Dam.
All right, I understand that.
Okay,
but the question, wait a sec here. Let's get back to my original questions. Why would the Egyptians require a pump of this magnitude? They didn't have electricity.
Certainly not. But they could use the electricity, they could use the pumped water for a whole host of applications that are examples of high technology. With water, with pumped water, you can make compressed air. At Ragged Chutes in Canada, there's a hydraulic air compressor. It's just an underground chamber that's oddly shaped. Water goes in one end, and without a piston or cylinder, it compresses air. And there's a lot of excavations around the Great Pyramid, and some feel that one of those could have been used to make compressed air.
So is it your contention that the Egyptians had air-compressed tools?
My contention is that whoever built the Great Pyramid could have used the pumped water for any number of scientific or industrial purposes. They could have powered large machinery. There's another researcher, you probably had him on, Christopher Dunn,
had him on many times,
contends that there was some large-scale machinery used in ancient Egypt by somebody. But anyway, I contend that the water from the Great Pyramid water pump could have been used to power that type of machinery. And there's a lot of scientific things that you can do with pumped water, besides run machinery, besides make compressed air, possibly generate electricity, and even do things that we can't imagine. So there was a lot of purposes besides just irrigating above the floodplain. The largest structure in Africa is the Aswan Dam, the High Aswan Dam, and it is the capstone of a large irrigation project that allows Egypt to irrigate above the floodplain. So modern Egyptians use a big water pump. Ancient Egyptians used a big water pump.
But
certainly they operate differently.
But how come in the Bible there is no mention of the Great Pyramid being used as a water pump, and why would the Bible and other historical references point to the fact that it was the slaves that built the pyramid? And to my knowledge, nowhere anywhere is there a mention of this lock procedure except the theory that you're presenting.
Oh, certainly. Okay. We contend that possibly the Great Pyramid was built before the last catastrophe, and that the civilization that built it was destroyed. And one of the few things left was the Great Pyramid. There's a lot of people a lot of researchers feel the Great Pyramid is older than the ancient Egyptians. And it's fascinating that some of the oral traditions and myths about the Great Pyramid is that the stones were floated in place, and that idea could be from a remnant of understanding how the Great Pyramid was really built.
All right, stand by, Stephen. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Stephen Myers is our guest. He's the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. You ready for this? thepump.org. That's www.thepump.org. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. Still to come on tonight's show, we're going to be speaking to Juanita Rose Violini about her very interesting book. It's a weird book about weird things that happen during a weird almanac. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go away.
What if someone told you could live to be 120? Would you believe him? What if he told you the Bible guaranteed it? All you needed to do was follow his rules and buy his products. Would you do it? What if you invested 20 years of your life in him? What if he tested his substances on your child? What if your child became brain damaged as a result? Meet Dr. Tyler Belknap, a fast-talking Texas admin turned health guru. At the helm of a vast health food and supplement empire, he has established himself as the authority on nutrition and longevity. But what his followers don't know is that his products are laced with bizarre psychoactive substances from genetically modified plants developed in his very own secret lab. No wonder his customers can't stop using them. Tyler Belknap will stop at nothing to keep his edge in the market, even if it means experimenting on children. Chasing 120, a story of food, faith, fraud, and the pursuit of longevity, a novel from the pen of political cartoonist Monty Wolverton, is an easy and entertaining read full of rich characters and intrigue. It hits home in a world filled with all kind of hucksterism and offers a glimpse of what can happen when GMO technology falls into the wrong hands. Chasing 120 by Monty Wolverton. Get your copy today at www.ptm.org/120 or on Amazon.com.
When demystified, shamanism is an ancient science delving into the quantum level of life. Understanding and implementing basic shamanic principles can empower the individual to heal, manifest, and evolve in these rapidly changing times. Path Home Shamanic Art School is a one-of-a-kind Colorado State certified occupational school training and certifying shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also train individuals simply interested in empowering and enriching their lives through shamanism. Path Home's certification classes are in a week-long block format, enabling national and international students to participate. We also provide online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions as well. Discover all you can be. Enter the limitless world of shamanism today. For more information, visit findyourpathhome.com or call 303-775-3431.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
We are a rock revolving around a golden sun. We are a billion children rolled into one. So when I hear about the hole in the sky, salt water wells in my eyes. We climb the highest mountain, we'll make the desert bloom.
Stephen Myers is our guest this hour. His book is entitled Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid, and his website is www.thepump.org. First of all, Stephen, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight here on the X Zone. It's been great talking to you. I admire your research and the reason why you're doing it. Hats off to you. What do the Egyptologists in Egypt say about your theory?
Okay, the Egyptologists around the world, they won't even say anything about it. It's a wall of silence. They don't say anything about their lack of demonstrations either.
Right.
So Egyptology is kind of at a precipice. where they're either going to have to engage in the scientific method or change what Egyptology is. So my book talks a lot about that. Also, the website has some pictures about the construction process and more information. So those pictures say 1,000 words, maybe better than I can say in this interview. But I sure appreciate being involved in your show. What a wonderful opportunity you've given me.
Well, it's our great pleasure, Steve. Steve, what are your plans for the future?
We're going to, since the book is out now, we're going to develop a documentary, probably do that in-house, and it's going to be probably YouTube quality, if you will. But we're going to use that to pitch a deal to the networks to make like an hour-long documentary with much better animations and that type of thing. So that's a project in the works. And we're going to do possibly another trip back to Egypt if we can work that out. Continue work on the research of how the Great Pyramid was built and why, and do things like programs like yours to help get the word out. So there's a lot going on. And if somebody wants to become involved, just send us an email or fax, or even on our website we have a phone number you can call.
Now, can they send you Can they send you an email to your email address at the pump?
Yes.
All right. So that's steve@thepump.org. That's and the
right.
name.
That's my personal email address.
Steve, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the X Zone tonight. Congratulations. Continue the great work, and keep us in mind if you come up with any new evidence. Love to hear from you again.
Oh, thank you very much.
X Zone Nation, Steve Myers is the gentleman we're talking to this hour. He's the author of Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid. The website is www.thepump.org. That's www.thepump.org. In the next hour, I'll be speaking to Juanita Rose Violini. We're going to be talking to her about her book. It's the new compendium of the paranormal. And we're going to be talking to her about the Almanac of the Infamous, the Incredible, and the Ignored. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues, live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away, X Zone Nation. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break.